foundation repair.
Well, it's finally over. That long saga that the nation followed of the Fort Worth woman, Marlise Muñoz, the 33-year-old woman who was on life support, even though she was brain dead, and she was gestating a fetus. And, of course, that's why John Peter Smith Hospital would not take her off of life support. Finally, a judge rules on the issue on Friday and said, hey, look, the woman is dead. You need to declare her dead, and I give you till 5 p.m. to do so and take her off of life support. And they did that. So she and her fetus can now be buried, as the Munoz family had wanted all along. What a weird, strange story that whole thing was. And we also got information late last week that I think, not that the public has a right to know, but it certainly has a huge bearing on the way people feel about the case, is how deformed was this fetus? Was it viable? And a lot of people thinking that if it was completely healthy and looked completely healthy, then it does seem like, oh, this is a little bit more of a tricky issue. Mm-hmm. But they say that the fetus showed what appeared to be severe abnormalities and deformities. It had hydrocephalitis and all this. Now, a lot of people who are right to life would say, still, that doesn't give you the right to terminate its life just because it has deformities. But it does seem to sway public opinion.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of now let you in on what the father was thinking.
Right.
Because when we first were discussing it, we thought, oh, that's a healthy fetus. Just have the baby, keep the mother alive, have the baby, raise it. But now you understand why he was so tortured, the father.
Yeah, and the father said, hey, look, he obviously knows his wife. He said this in the court filings and everything, and he just said it was just so disturbing to see her there basically decomposing. Mm-hmm. Even though she's on life support and everything, deteriorating. He said she just smelled like death and just, it was just not really human there. But finally that came to an end on Friday. Also, something that we didn't have a chance to talk about because it didn't come down on our watch, the Josh Brent decision, the punishment phase of it. That was after we were off the air, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he was sentenced to 10 years probation. We're going to do an extended segment. Isn't that some sort of skin disease?
Egg segment?
Yeah.
Eczema.
Extended segment at 7:55 today about this, but do want to quick hit it in Muse here. 10 years probation and 180 days in jail, which was the maximum that was allowed that the judge could give him due to the jury's decision. And I don't quite understand that, so you may have to unpack that for me. I thought he was facing 20 years.
That's what I thought.
And the judge is saying the maximum he could give him was 180 days in jail. Maybe that's because the jury decided that they only wanted to give him probation.
Yeah.
And the judge could tack on the 180 days. So, yeah, he turns 26 next week, by the way, while he's in jail. Josh Brent.
I wasn't outraged when I heard that. I was highly confused. I didn't understand it.
Why? Because of what I was talking about, the jail?
Norm had the stat that, in the last year in the county, there have been 88 DUI cases where someone's been found guilty. And only 18...
Just DUIs or like DUIs that resulted in deaths?
I'm not exactly sure, because there have been obviously more than 88 DUI cases, so maybe it's resulted in deaths.
Intoxication, manslaughter?
Yeah, maybe it's intoxication, manslaughter. A very, very small percentage get away with just probation. And he was a repeat offender. So I guess I'm just very confused as to why they decided, everybody else gets lots of prison time, but this repeat offender, we're just going to give him probation.
It didn't really faze me after the decision about the 18-year-old and the 4 people that were killed, and talking to a lawyer this weekend saying, that testimony was very strong from the victim's mother, from Jerry Brown's mother, that
she had forgiven Josh Brent, and she thinks of him as a son, no point in punishing him.
Yeah.
By the way, doesn't everybody now, if you have a tough case, don't you want to get into that judge's court who let that rich kid off?
Yes.
Gosh.
That's the easy court to go through.
Just use the old affluenza defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're too affluent, so you can't be punished.
By the way, Josh Brent wasn't in that court.
No, he wasn't in that court. But if you get the judge from that court, that Ethan Couch case, then don't you go into the courtroom sneezing and rubbing your eyes and acting like you have affluenza?
With money falling out of your pockets?
Yeah, sneezing out coins.
She'll say, oh, that poor guy.
All right, have you guys seen this breaking story out of the SMU campus? Well, Brett Shipp has done this report on WFAA about a former Kimball basketball star who now plays for SMU, Keith Frazer. And he apparently had a failing grade at Kimball that was changed into a passing one in order for him to graduate from high school. And it's raised questions as to whether or not SMU knew about this. And the old, here's your grade, SMU, and here's your grade, and you can now get out of high school and now move along. Is Rich in there, our SMU expert?
His mic's not working all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it's not working.
I'm here.
Do you know much about this?
I ran into Brett Shipp at Houston Hobby Airport yesterday.
And? Did you make out?
We talked about ticket stock.
You have this huge case that he's breaking, and you're talking about ticket stock?
I saw him at the game yesterday, and we chatted a moment about that.
And?
That he had a story coming up.
Fist fight?
No, not at all.
I thought you defend all things SMU.
He told me how great the ticket was.
Were you the one who changed the grade?
No,
I think they had Rich do it.
Had nothing to do with it.
The question in this whole story is, what did Rich know, and when did he know it?
Yeah. And why hasn't he told us about it?
I first heard about it at halftime yesterday. When Brett Shipp was spotted standing under the basket.
First heard that you guys had been busted for something that you were involved in.
I'm not involved in anything.
What I find shocking is that this is even a story, because high school and college athletes have their grades changed all the time.
Ooh, so you're calling out Brett Shipp.
Yeah, go find something that's a real story.
Ooh, you hear that, Brett? Didn't you always make the claim that Brett Shipp could investigate your life and couldn't find a thing? That you had Brett Shipp to prove to your life?
Well, I wouldn't put that claim out there in front of him.
Brett has tried. I've been the guy that he's been after for 20 years, and he hasn't found anything yet, but I still fear him.
But he's determined. Watch out. He is determined. Investigative reporter. They call him the Bull. Did you know that? Bullship. That tunnel, we all walked through this tunnel, didn't we, when we were down there at Ticket Stock? That tunnel that goes through Lamar. That's so depressing, that leads from the light rail into the convention center.
I didn't. No.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
No, I walked through the heated hallways of the Omni and into the convention center.
Golly.
I walked on
You sicken me, sir.
walked on the cold, barren city streets of Dallas.
Not me. It was carpeted and it was awesome.
But you guys know the tunnel I'm talking about, right?
No idea.
It's where Lamar passes under the convention center.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about.
I mean, it's not underground.
I see. You're not talking about the...
it's a passageway.
Is that where the light rail stop is? I thought the light rail was underground.
No, the light rail is just back behind the convention center.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But it's under, a big concrete ceiling.
It's the cachet of the Dallas Convention Center.
Yeah.
Yes, I walked there.
Well, they are going to spend $4.67 million to get that thing looking better, because it is like one of the most depressing areas of Dallas. And now that we have this Omni and we got the convention center hopping because of the Omni, and they don't want people to be so, beaten down, looking like it's some sort of Mussolini building project down there.
That's good, because the facility itself, the convention center, and how it connects to the Omni, that is so great for this city that you can have... I mean, how many people were in the convention center this weekend between the cheerleader camp, the volleyball tournament, ticket stock? 1 million people?
No, more than that.
Probably a billion.
Yeah, probably a billion or a billion and three.
Over 10,000 people. And I don't know, it's really cool what they've done, but they should help out that area around there.
Well, they are going to dress it up. They're going to put in some sort of dramatic lighting, and they can change colors. They're going to omnify it.
Junior's
and
not
make it
like that.
Kick ass with lasers and bands and live tigers. They say the mayor.
Awesome.
They say the mayor designed the revamping on a cocktail napkin, and they're going to have to follow that plan. And this is where the lasers shoot out at the live tigers that'll be jumping through hoops of fire. Make it happen. Dallas is kick ass.
How about that on Friday? The proclamation from the mayor of Dallas.
Yeah, that happened. That wasn't on the air, right?
No.
It was afterwards. Yeah, the mayor of Dallas, Mike Rawlings, declared Friday, January 24th, 2014, official ticket day in Dallas with a mayoral proclamation.
Yeah.
That was on a scroll that was unrolled in front of all those P1s at the convention center.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was the official ticket day. So now, what does that mean, though? Did we have a card key to the city that worked for 24 hours, or what do we get?
We got recognition from the mayor's office of the city.
We should have gotten Dwayne Caraway down there to get a key to the city from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where they come from.
Well, you run a dogfighting ring, you'll get one from Dwayne Caraway.
No, I'm not giving out too many more keys. You can believe that.
Yeah, and I thought that was very nice. Thank you to Mayor Mike Rawlings for doing that for us. It was very nice of him to do that. But have you ever heard so many cuss words in an official proclamation?
Dan Bennett just added those in there. He was ad-libbing when he read it.
You need to stop ragging on our mayor. He's such a nice guy.
I'm not ragging on him. He's a good P1. I'm just saying, when you're doing the official thing, and it was on nice paper, watermarked linen paper, and there's like 50 F-bombs in it, and he said that we were the best MFing station he'd ever heard, and I don't know, it's just weird. They had another shoot 'em up at a mall in Columbia, Maryland this time. Dude takes a cab to the mall, goes into this small shop, fires a shotgun about half a dozen times, killed 2 people before killing himself. He was only 19 years old and did this and killed a 21-year-old and a 25-year-old. We're going to do an extended segment on the Grammys at 9:15 today.
It was interesting.
Did you watch much of it?
I watched probably 80-90% of it.
I saw it a little bit off and on. I just could not take my gaze away from the Pro Bowl.
Really? You wanted your gaze in your bed instead?
At 8:55, we're going to do a full segment on the Pro Bowl. I have so much to say about that unbelievable jumping of the shark. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
That's why I watched the Grammys. I watched the Pro Bowl for about 10 minutes. Okay, I can't take this.
It was unbelievable what was on display last night.
Which one are we talking about now? We're talking about Pro Bowl.
I'm talking about the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh. And I want to talk about the Grammys, which were done live, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were Instagrammys.
Oh, my God.
You saw it as it was happening.
It's kind of sad to watch your devolving over the years as a comic.
Yeah, just watching the slow decline.
I hate watching it.
I was once so good.
And I love you, but I hate watching your slow decline.
No, it's not. He's getting better.
See, that's better, I think. Well, that's just an indication that George's comedic sensibilities are in decline and tracking right along with mine. Thank goodness.
It's perfect. Normification of Gordon.
The normification.
Finally.
So, Lucky won as the Song of the Year or Album of the Year. Mm-hmm. Or maybe both, did it?
I know it got sung.
Is that song really that great?
Yeah, I think it's better than Blurred Lines.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember we had that debate this summer, which one's the song of the year?
It's Blurred Lines.
I think it's Get Lucky. I think it's a better song.
Do you know that song, Junior? Get Lucky.
Yeah.
Get Lucky.
Isn't that,
Get Lucky.
Pharrell. Isn't it Daft Punk featuring Pharrell Williams and Nile Rodgers?
So apparently he mugged a Canadian Mountie last night and wore his big brown hat with a red jumpsuit. That was the worst outfit to pick.
The songwriter Paul Williams wrote that song?
Apparently, yeah.
Not
Paul Williams, yeah.
The old Paul Williams from
Who taught us English?
The Muppet movie?
That Paul Williams?
Yes. And you wouldn't recognize him now. He doesn't have the bowl cut anymore. He has this...
It short-circuited me seeing him up there with robots on the stage.
That's not Paul Williams. Sure enough it is.
He's got to be 80 now.
Oh, yeah.
He's really old.
Yeah.
So is this an old song or a new song?
No, it's a new song.
Because it sounds so retro, I just figure maybe Paul Williams wrote it in the 70s. And
I don't think so.
Somebody found it and deep cut on one of his albums and then recorded it.
It's a great song. I don't care what anybody says.
Good Lord. Boy, that Paul Williams had a lot of success, man.
Yes.
If he's still writing hit songs now, he wrote Rainbow Connection, you know?
Yeah. Great song.
And he wrote, We've Only Just Begun. That was another one of his. And his greatest turn, I believe, wasn't he Little Enos Burnett in Smokey the Bandit?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was?
We base Stephen Jones on Little Enos Burnett from Smokey the Bandit.
Paul Williams?
Yeah.
Wow. God, he is greatness.
So he wins. He wins a Grammy last night. He, I guess he went up there and gave an acceptance speech. Maybe we'll hear this when we do our extended segment at 9:15. He said he acknowledged that he'd had substance abuse problems over the years. He was a pretty bad drunk and addict. And he said, quote, "Then I got sober and 2 robots asked me to make an album." So he's kind of condensed his timeline here a little bit.
And they all performed with Stevie Wonder last night. That was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, really good.
And somebody else who won. Never ever been royals.
Man, yeah, she killed it last night. And I don't think Taylor Swift won anything, did she? No, but the first time of her life she's never won anything.
Did you hear the controversy on that? That when they showed her when she lost, but she acted as though she won at first and maybe thought that she had won. So look at her mouth drop and see if you can tell. Give us your interpretation before 9:15. And Jay-Z had a funny line too. I think it was a funny line when he said that to their little baby, his and Beyonce's royalty, who was, I guess, what do you call that officially? The princess in waiting, or because she's going to rule the country at one point, right?
They call her Blue Ivy.
Blue Ivy. He said that he was bringing home a gold sippy cup to her. Held up the trophy. Yeah. Baby, bringing you a gold sippy cup.
Yeah, we got to get some more of the Grammys later, including Jamie Foxx mocking the Beatles.
What's wrong with that? You don't care about that, do you?
Yes, I do.
You like Jamie Foxx better than you like the Beatles. And one notable death here, Eric Lawson died at the age of 72. He played the Marlboro Man in cigarette ads in the late 70s.
Wow.
Dead of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Respiratory failure due to that. He also had bit parts on Beretta and Streets of San Francisco and Charlie's Angels and Dynasty and Baywatch and all those sorts of things. But, yeah, he had been a smoker since the age of 14. And he later went on to appear in anti-smoking commercials that parodied the Marlboro Man. And went on, did interviews, even though he was still a smoker, he did interviews about don't smoke because he could not give it up.
I wonder if he, in any way, died with a lot of guilt, thinking about all the people he encouraged to smoke and thus killed.
Did you fall for the Marlboro Man print ads? Did they look cool? Did you admire
that
the
guy
man?
looked cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He made cigarette smoking look really cool, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of did, didn't he? Where's my vape? There's been several actors and models that portrayed the Marlboro Man over the years. David Millar was one of them. He died of emphysema in 1987. David McLean died of lung cancer in 1995. Merry Christmas, cigarettes.
Merry Christmas. Birthdays?
Birthdays today. Hold on a second. Mikhail Baryshnikov is 66. Was my mom's big crush. She always loved Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Really?
Yeah. And that, I don't know why, whether it was the foreign accent or whether he was talented or whether it looked like he had stuffed a watermelon down the front of his pants.
Let's hope that's not why your mom liked him.
Mimi Rogers is 58.
Okay, Mimi.
Wasn't she married to
Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise. And I still think to this day she and Tom Cruise have not consummated. That's just a theory. Keith Olbermann is 55.
Strange.
Bridget Fonda, 50.
Wow.
Comedian Patton Oswalt is 45. He acted alone last concert when he came through here. And guess who turns 55 today?
Who?
Cris Collinsworth. And I don't know, are you a Collinsworth fan? Yeah, and I just think, I don't know what they were doing on that play. I don't know.
All right, that's Muse, 7:33 on the ticket.